Welcome, friends, to our little stone cottage. This is the wonderful house that we get to call home and live our lives within these beautiful walls that we are always working on making more beautiful and more inviting and cozy for our family. This is one of the biggest passions of my life, and I'm excited to bring you guys in and give you a glimpse into what life looks like for us these days in our little cottage. So mornings always start early here. I've got 4 young kids. The oldest is 6, the youngest is 1. So we've always got lots of, little pitter-patter footsteps very early in the morning. I do get up before my kids pretty much every single day to have some quiet time to myself. And shortly after that, it is just kind of on to making breakfast and getting the day going. So on this particular day, we made one of our absolute favorites, which is a Dutch baby. This is on repeat in our house because it's just one of our easy favorite hot homemade breakfasts, and it's just always a hit with everybody. And then of course I get myself ready for the day. This is another thing that I swear by. Even if we're not leaving the house, we're not going anywhere, we don't have anything going on, I still like to get ready. I like to pull myself together so that I look more presentable because it just completely changes the way that I carry myself. It changes my mood. It makes me feel like I have more energy and more drive, and who doesn't need that on a daily basis? Another thing I love is making my latte every single morning. You guys know I love this little ritual. It's one of my favorite parts of my morning. I actually don't drink very much caffeine because I'm just so sensitive to it, and I just am so much better off without drinking much of it. But there's just something about the ritual and the taste that I just absolutely love and can't get enough of. So I make my latte each morning, and it's just such a bright spot in my day. And then we're kind of off to the races. It's a day of taking care of my kids, getting some work done, making healthy food, taking care of the house. And I love making our house a home. If you know our story, you know that about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, we bought this little cottage that was a complete fixer-upper. And we actually, a few months after that, sold our dream house and our dream farm so that we could start to walk towards a new dream for our family. And while it was one of the craziest things we've ever done, we have no regrets, and we're so happy we made the move. I love taking care of my home and taking care of my family and really just making this house a cozy, nurturing place for us all to come together. And that takes a lot of not only intentionality, but a lot of work too. For me to show up as my best self, to do this day in and day out, I definitely need to take care of myself. I have a few key supplements that I rely on and take continuously to help me feel my best, and one of my absolute favorites is Element. You guys know I love me some Element for so many reasons. 1, it actually tastes so good. 2, it has no added sugar or really any added ingredients that I don't want. And it's so simple. You literally just add it to your water. It's just one of those things where it takes so little effort, but it really has a big payoff in how it makes me feel. It's an electrolyte drink mix, so it's going to help so much with hydration. And when I feel like I am properly hydrated, I have a lot more energy, and it's just easier to show up as my best self to get done what I need to do. It contains sodium, magnesium, and potassium, all of which are electrolytes that play key roles throughout so many biological processes in the body. For example, transmission of nerve signals, fluid balance, cleaning out the wastes in your cells, glucose transport and blood glucose control, restful sleep, energy production, DNA repair, muscle synthesis. There's just so much that electrolytes do in our body, and they need to be replenished continually. An Element's simple formula contains all those electrolytes that you want, but it does not contain any sugar, filler, colors, or any other artificial ingredients that you don't want. Element is offering you guys, my viewers, a free sample pack with every order. That's 8 single serving packets with any Element order. This is a great way to try out their different flavors so you can pick your favorite. You can get yours at drinkelement.com/Becca Bristow. And this deal is only available through my link. So that's DRINKLMNT.com/Becca Bristow. One of the bigger struggles I feel like we face as humans is dealing with discontentment. And this is something that I have been thinking about so much recently. So this can affect every area of our lives, but I know for me as a homemaker, as a creator, and as a amateur designer, I guess you will, of our home and our property, this is something that I can definitely struggle with and have struggled with on and off. Now, like I shared earlier, we sold our dream home, our dream farm, not that long ago, and we still live really close to that home. And I still literally can't drive by it. You guys, me and Matt were talking about this the other day, and he was like, you can drive by it. And I was like, no, I can't do it. Because it's still a little bit of a sore spot in my heart because I just had so many dreams for that home. Now, the reason we decided to sell it after, buying it thinking it was going to be our forever home, which now I don't believe in a forever home, but we sold that house because we bought the dream home at the top of our budget with, the dream property that required a lot of work and a lot of expense. And while we loved it so much, after living there for a few years, we just felt like we couldn't really justify it anymore without, feeling like we were not going to meet the, financial goals that we had, down the line in the future. Because we do have 4 kids and we've got big plans, and we just decided to kind of walk away from what is just like, I feel like almost like typical and expected in our culture. It's like you start working hard, you make more money, you buy more things or bigger things, and we just decided to kind of lay that down and sell off this dream that we had. And we bought a house that was not only half the size, but it was half the price of our dream home that we sold. It needed a lot of work, but we could then fix it up with cash, and then we could take the rest of that money and start investing it so that we could be smarter with the money that we worked hard to make and, create a more secure financial, situation for us. As we move through the rest of our lives. Both Matt and I are entrepreneurs. We have not worked for anyone else for, I think it's 7 years now, which is amazing, and I literally wouldn't change it. It's a lot of work. There is uncertainty involved, and I think for us, we just kind of learned some hard lessons about like the reality of what that really looks like. I feel like it can really be glamorized, if that's even a word, but I mean, which I don't think is necessarily wrong because it's such a wonderful life of freedom to live. There obviously are still things that you give up and nothing is perfect, but I certainly would not change it for the world. Like this, we are living our dream lifestyle, that's for sure. One of the ways I know that God is speaking to me is when I hear the same message over and over from a bunch of different places in like a very short amount of time. And let me tell you, God has been speaking to me recently about just trying to squash out any of the discontentment that can worm its way into my heart and into my spirit. When it comes to home, especially when you're living in a fixer-upper, you have so many dreams and goals and you just want to take off running and do them all at once, and you don't want to wait. You want what you want and you want it right now. And that can be such a terrible place really to be mentally, because you're so focused on something that's down the line in the future that it takes your focus off of the present, and most importantly, it takes your focus off all of the wonderful things that you do already have and all of the blessings. And what's tricky about it is when you do finally get those things or accomplish those things that you want, you almost are already thinking about new things that you want, new goals you have, new things you want to get or do, that it's almost like you can't even enjoy all that you've already done. And I am going through the Bible in a Year podcast. I've shared that with you guys. I'm almost halfway through, I think, at this point. And one of the episodes recently, Father Mike was talking about how, when you get your dream house in 3 years, it's not going to be your dream house because you're already going to be thinking about things that you don't have in this house and that you might have in another one. And that is something that's very true, especially, for us, we love the idea of living on a farm and having, a larger property, and we had it, but we sold it. And that's kind of a hard thing to sit with when you do want it. Now, I still stand by the decision. I still think we made the right decision for our family, but it doesn't mean that we miss the potential that we did have. And there's so much that we can do here on our little cottage property, even though most of it is wooded. But I am trying to focus more on the things that we can do and focus on all that's good that's in front of us, all that's available to us, all the potential we do have, and try and not focus on what we gave up or lost or don't have, because it's not productive. And again, you have to kind of catch yourself, because you find yourself always wanting more, and you want it now. And it's funny, when I was creating this video and I'm voiceovering it now, I went to find a new little, calming background song to play throughout the video. And I found one, I liked it, I downloaded it, and I didn't even realize the name of it until I started editing. And it's called Slowly Walking Towards a Dream. And I thought, wow, that could not be more perfect for this message I think that I'm sharing today, because I think we just get so caught up in what we want to do and how quickly we want to get there that we can lose sight of what's in front of us. So I am now going to be, and I invite you to do the same, slowly walking towards our dream. I still have dreams. I still have goals. I think it's really good to have things that you're working towards. I certainly don't think it's a bad thing, but it is a bad thing when we're so focused on those things that it makes us feel discontent with what we have right now. So let's all slowly, with intention and with a whole bunch of gratitude, walk towards our dreams and not let ourselves get derailed by thoughts of being ungrateful or thoughts of feeling like we're not content with what we have. Earlier in this video, you guys saw me planting some seeds that will be all of our vegetables and our herbs and a few flowers in our garden this summer, which is always very exciting. But I also feel like it is such a good metaphor, really, for life. Gardening teaches you so much, because every day you plant small seeds, and it takes time for them to even start to grow before you even start to see any progress, really. So you have to have a lot of faith and trust in the process. And every year, when those little tiny seedlings start to push up through the dirt, which feels like insurmountable odds because they're just the tiniest, weakest little plants, and they push up through the soil and then go on to be these huge, strong plants later in the season that not only are massive, but they bear fruit, and lots of it, all from this tiny little seed. I mean, it's truly miraculous. And when you think about our day-to-day lives and us slowly walking towards our dreams, it's just such a good thing to keep in mind, because while the progress may feel slow, or you may have a little bit of discontentment of, looking at the gap between where you are now and where you want to be, just trust that there is a wonderful plan for you, and there is going to be so much fruit that you bear later on. You just have to keep taking those small steps and have patience, my friend. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.